Good morning, friends. Happy Friday. Hope you're having a wonderful day. It's going to be a sunny spring day. It's a little on the chilly side. We started with frost, so I'm not sure how warm it's going to get, but I am so happy to report that some of my tulip bulbs have popped up, which I'm not sure why the snowdrops and the some of the others, little ones that I had that are supposed to be early spring didn't. So we'll have to figure that out over time. I'm hoping that the really intense cold that we had with no snow cover didn't kill them, but we'll see. So today I'm going to have some fun with the Botanical Textures Suite Collection from Stampin' Up. It's one of their online exclusives, and this has some really beautiful cardstock and dies and stamp sets. You've seen me use some of these dies when I was doing a scrapbook page a few weeks ago, but we're going to dive into this and use it for a layout. So this suite collection has 7 different elements. It's got the stamp set, which has these really beautiful stamps and sentiments. I love the font. It's just gorgeous. And then, of course, these dies, which are so pretty. Just, I love all the different patterns they have on them. Very unusual. And then it has this mini corrugated 3D embossing folder. It has this really beautiful linen, well, it's not linen, but it's a woven ribbon. So it's got a really pretty element. It's really soft, easy to use. And then there are these fun little natural matte dots. There's 5 colors, so you can see that there is, looks like pecan pie, very vanilla, black, and white. And I love that they're really low profile, so they make for, they're great for mailing, and you don't have to add extra postage because they're really low profile. Okay, and then there's these 2 designer series papers. So we've got the textured or woven textures, which there's only 4 patterns, but they give you 3 of each. And I used this one for one of my scrapbook pages a couple weeks ago. But you can see that they're just really, really beautiful textures. So they're fun to work with. And then we have the botanical prints. So they've got some black and white, really beautiful prints. And I've seen some people color these, so we'll have some fun on Monday when we make some cards. And this is the other side. So this one's a little too wild for me, but I like these different neutral ones. I think that they have potential for scrapbook pages, and you'll see them in the scrapbook that I'm doing. Okay, so this is, let me grab it. I'm losing things. This is the scrapbook page that we're doing. We're doing a second layout of this. So we've got the botanical prints or botanical textures, and then we've got the woven textures in here. And then you can see that I've used one of the stamps from the kit to stamp up here in the corner. And then also I did some fussy cutting for these 2 right here. And I used some of the dies for these 2 pieces, so you can see how pretty they are. They just add a really beautiful, elegant texture to it. And then I've added some ephemera to get some sentiments and the little stars, just a little extra for this sweet baby boy. So today's scripture, I added a scripture to this scrapbook page, and I felt like it was so perfect for it. This little guy is 11 years old, and he will be 12 next week. Let's see, a little bit past next week. And so these are very old photos, but you know how you have these really beautiful prints, photos, you get them up on your wall, and then you get new ones and you replace them. And I thought, rather than just sticking them behind the old or the newer photos, I thought I would scrapbook them. That way they are something that we can look at And of course, this will be something that I'll be dedicating to him later when he is much older. And as you can see, I have created a 3D element by using this mini corrugated 3D embossing folder. And so I'm going to show you how I achieved that for a scrapbook layout. But when they're 6 by 6, they are perfect for doing something of this nature. So not just for cards, but you can add them to the scrapbook page as well. And I know this is a little funky having a mostly black and white spread for a baby boy, but my daughter-in-law, or my stepdaughter, she just is so talented, or was so talented with her photo elements and kind of how she placed the baby in the photo. And she loved black and white. I know that a lot of her wardrobe had that in it, and so did Emmett's. So anyway, I just thought it was great. These little leaves aren't necessarily feminine, and so it makes a great scrapbook layout. Okay, so with this in mind, let's get started on the second half. So the second half has this cute baby boy and his little feet. He is not a fan of any pictures of himself as a baby, I can tell you that. So these are some of the elements and about where I'm going to be placing things. And I have 2 more of these just really beautiful. This is white willow cardstock, and I just love the detail on the edges of this, and it really shows up in the white. I tried doing black, but it didn't really show up very well. So the ephemera that I'm using is a mix, and I've got about 5 different ones here. So this is the washes and floral tags. So this tag here is from this, and then also these 2 tags. So there's a number of different elements. And then from this, sorry, let's get back the washes and florals. And so this one is Saying Something ephemera pack, and it's the For You and Happy. So you can see that the happy is green, but we're going to change that using our blends. And then, of course, this tag comes from here, and this one also, it comes from the Labels and Layers ephemera. So just a little mix and match. And then I've got, and I believe this little tag came from there as well. Oh no, maybe that tag came from here. And then I've got the stars that I'm going to be adding, and those are in Pecan Pie. And this is Something for Everything ephemera pack. And then, of course, the little X and O and the Sweet Baby comes from Greetings for All. So just a little mix and match of a bunch of different things. And I know that Stampin' Up is coming up with a lot more scrapbooking stuff with the new catalog. So I'm really excited about that. And if you're wanting a catalog, be sure to reach out and let me know. Okay. So for starters, let's change this from green to the color that we want, which is more neutral. And I'm just going to do it in black. I want it to really pop. And so with it's actually going to turn out to be a really dark green. And that's okay. I just want it to be darker and not that bright green, because it doesn't really match my layout at all. The dark green doesn't really either, but it'll be close enough. So whenever you see some ephemera that's not quite the right color, you can just add your blends to make it the right color. So I like that better. It's just, it'll really pop out. And so you saw me do that this last week with one of the sentiments. Okay. So for this layout, let me just pull this aside, because what I'm going to need is a place to show you how I am going to use this embossing folder for this piece. Things are falling. Okay, so I'm using the large Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And what I want to do is I want to create this corrugated look. So it ends up looking like corrugated metal, like really old metal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it in my embossing folder with the end, and I want to not extend past. And then make sure that my edges are straight, because I don't want it to be wonky, because then it's going to be wonky all the way across. And then I'm going to place it between my number 1 plate and my number 4 plate. And you can see that it's just perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to do the other side, and I'm going to line up one of my ridges on the embossing folder. Make sure that it's straight so that it doesn't end up being slightly off kilter, because I want it straight on this edge, because that means the lines will be perfectly perpendicular. I'm putting the seam edge in first, and then going across, and it just makes this really great background for my scrapbook page. Okay, put this away. Okay, so I've already got these 4x8 photos with a layer of the white willow and a layer of basic black. So this is 4 1/8 by 6 1/8, and then the black is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So that makes perfect little elegant backgrounds. Okay, so let's pull these aside. Okay, I'll just have those out of the way. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to secure my scrapbook page so that I've got, you can see that I've got lines on here, and I want these to end up being straight. So I'm going to put a big one across the bottom to keep it secured here. And then I'll put a big one on top, because I want it to stay level. And then when I am placing these, I can make sure that they are staying the same all the way across. So this first piece is like a 1/2 inch from the bottom. So I'm going to be, oh, this is going to be too high if I do that. Let's just put these here. Excuse me, I've got a tickle in my throat. This is from that Post-it, and it just kind of keeps it secure while I try to get this in. Okay, so first thing first is here we go, is my tear and tape, and I want it to go all the way across. You can use whatever adhesive you like. I'm just a fan of tear and tape. I don't have trouble with utilizing it. And then I want it to be a 1/2 inch from the bottom. Line up both of them. Yeah, this one started sticky before I was ready. Okay. And then I'm going to place the next band, which is a piece from the Botanical Textures DSP. And so this is a 1 inch piece, and this is a 1/2 inch piece. And I'll have these measurements on my blog as well. And then this is a 5.5 inch by 12 inches. And you would think that with the, oh, it did stretch it just a little bit. So I'm going to just get it so that it goes all the way across, because I didn't have trouble with that last time. But this time I did. So I'm just going to widen it out because it does shrink up a little bit. Okay. So let's move this down here. And I'll move that. Okay, so now I'm just going to place some adhesive here. And we'll get this lined up. We'll have to do just a smidge of stretching to get it all the way over to the other side. It'll still have some of the whenever you dry emboss something of this nature, you're going to lose a little bit of area. And I was thinking about making this little white piece a little bit smaller and framing it in black so I didn't have that trouble, but I didn't seem to have as much trouble with the last piece. There we go. So it still has that texture, but okay. And then now we're going to place these other two, and then we're going to do ribbon. I'm going to do a band of ribbon across both of these. Don't have to, but oh, hey Linda, happy birthday. I hope you're having a good day and you get to play. What things special are you going to do for your birthday? All right, and then one last piece of designer series paper. At first, I was a little put off by the black and white, but I found that I've actually really enjoyed it. So it's good for me to be stretched outside my comfort zone. So, and it works out for these photos. Just, you know, the little guy, he doesn't want anything frou-frou. So I'm going to respect that. So I'm letting this overlap just a little bit with both the DSPs. And then I'll just cut it off rather than wrap it around. And then we need to do this one more time. Okay. All right, now I want some speckles up here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my black blend. And rather than flicking it inside the lid, I like to do it this way instead. things out of the way that I don't want speckled. Okay. Now I'm going to use this stamp and add some elements up here, but let's put something underneath it so that and I'm going to use, this is Memento Black ink, but I used it in the white craft ink pad just because I needed something a little bit bigger. I do get cat hairs on here sometimes, so let's get that off. Naughty kitties. Their hair is everywhere. Okay, back to the matter at hand. So I'm going to be stamping it and then doing and then I'm going to do a set of leaves really close in so you can't see where all the stems are. Okay. And I was thinking of doing like another one here where the two come together. So now what I want to do is move this over, add my second scrapbook page, line them up, and now they'll be separated by a binding, but and I think maybe a little bit of there. So each one is beautiful on its own, but has just a little extra. Okay. Now back for this layout. Okay, so now we have these photos that we want to place. And I know this one was like all up and down and sideways, but when I have two photos, sometimes I like to make them wonky just because I think it just adds a little visual interest. So now that we have all the elements that we want, so let's just take a look at how to stack these up. So these I'm going to fussy cut out. And I've got some of these little stars. We'll place those last. So this is just kisses and hugs. And then this one. And then this, I love this sentiment. It says, sorry to be sappy, but you make me happy. And then I thought I would just emphasize the happy. So I think that's really cute. And then I've got these two fussy cats. So I just have some scraps. And I think I just need one more of these. Let's see if it's big enough. Looks like it. Okay, so I'm just gonna stamp one more. And then I can add them to my scrapbook page. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll add some of these dots. Oh, the kids are sick. Oh, what a fun day. That's I'm so glad you got a day off. Let's see. Playing with paper and ink and stamps, yay. go out to dinner tonight and see the grandkids tomorrow. Fun. That does sound fun. Aw, I'm glad you got my birthday card in time. I was hoping it would get to you. I can never tell how well Minnesota is going to do with their mail, because for some reason it takes a week to 2 weeks to get it to California. Okay, so let's open up. Let's see. All right, let's keep this kind of the way we want it. And let's put this photo down first. So I'm just going to... Now remember, all my scrapbook pages get put in protectors. And so I don't go crazy with the adhesive. I may be regretting that someday. So let's see. I just love this photo because I think that for whatever reason, I imagine he's looking at his toes. So he's just such a cutie. Oh my goodness. Cannot believe this guy's going to be 12 this year. They just keep growing and growing, getting bigger. So the scripture that I added was to this other page. And it's 1 Samuel 1:27. And it says, I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. He almost lost his mommy when he was born. And now that she's gone, it's even harder, but it was a scary moments for all of us because her placenta came all the way out and started bleeding, and it's terribly scary. It doesn't matter what the technology is. It just seems that still there's so much risk in mothering and giving birth to children, and when and if they turn out healthy and whole, and it's very, very scary. So okay, so now we can start adding these elements, and I like that. I get very emotional. Especially about his sweet mama. They've turned out to be such good kids. Tender hearts and just the most affectionate, loving kids. I love this. The world needs more people like you. Great little sentiment. And I don't know that I need it to be on there, but then I'm going to pop this one up with some dimensionals. It doesn't let me kiss him anymore, so have to pretend. And I don't need these anymore. Okay, so now this one, I'm going to place this in. Well, no, I need to do this one first. Oh, thank you, Barbara. It's unusual having black and white, but I think that you just end up with some really beautiful elements, and it just lets your your photos shine. So Barbara, in case you just jumped on, this is the first one. So just really makes for a great layout. All right. And then this, I think like so. And we're hiding the flowers because this is a boy and I just like this ragged end. And then I'm going to pop this sentiment up, but not pop it onto the photo. So we'll leave the dimensionals so that they are off to the side. And then this one, what I'm going to need to do is use some glue dots. So how I do that is I just roll them up and add them to the back of the sentiment. So it holds it down and the glue dots end up being lengthwise. I'll bring it to you up close so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can see that I put 4 rolled up glue dots, maybe not. It's probably hard to see because I used the blend on this to make this dark because I didn't want it to be bright green. Okay, so now we can just place these little stars, and I think I'll do that with dimensionals, but figure out where to put them. So maybe some color, maybe some mini dimensionals. All right, and then I need to fussy cut these. So I think I'll do this off camera, but I'm going to place them probably like so, down here and down here. And so we can add the embellishments first. But I'll be sure to show you the final results since we've been at this for a bit. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think a couple more. There we go. Okay, so that'll be it for now. If you're watching this later on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. I appreciate all the support. And again, I'm Angela with Wild Violets Art, and I appreciate you joining me. I'll fussy cut these later. I'll have photos, and then I'll have this up on my blog, and I'll share it with you as well. So thanks again for joining me this morning. I hope you have a great day and have many blessings.